this wheel of change. I do not seek to stop this wheel of change, but to dance, yes, to dance. Let us dance in this turning. I do not seek to stop this wheel of change. I do not seek to stop this wheel of change, but to dance, yes, to dance. Let us dance in this turning. I do not seek to stop this wheel of change. I do not seek to stop this wheel of change, but to dance, yes, to dance. Let us dance in its turning, but to dance, yes, to dance. Let us dance in its turning.
Good morning. My name is Martha Saunders, and I'm a member of the Worship Services team. Our service this morning is being led by our intern minister, Janet Pivnick. We welcome you, whether you are here in person or online, to the Vancouver Unitarian community. Our service is live streaming from our sanctuary at the corner of 49th and Oak in beautiful Vancouver. Our Unitarian community is dedicated to spiritual growth, social justice, and reverence for nature and all life. Our Chinese name is Sung Dao Wei, which means seekers of the way. And we embody these values through worship, ethical action, artistic expression, and religious education. We want to connect hearts, heads, and hands, and we welcome all who share our values. We are gathered here on the unceded traditional lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, from whom this land was taken and occupied by our colonizer ancestors at great cost to the peoples who have lived here from time immemorial. As Unitarians, we work to do our part to right the wrongs committed in the past and to promote justice and well-being for the people who have been harmed. If you are joining us online, please indicate in the chat from whose lands you are joining us. We will now welcome visitors and greet our friends and neighbors, and then Elliot will bring us back with our opening hymn.
When we pause to remember who we are, companions on this grand experiment called life, when we take a moment to shed the ways we have been carefully taught, to lead from fear, to punish the poor, to persecute those who don't look like we do, to deny rights to those who love, to believe that we are separate, that some people are superior to others. When we take a moment to shed all of that and hear our stories, hear and see each other into existence, into community, when we take a moment to embrace, to practice a different way of being, when we answer the call of love, then we are living into the promise of building the world we dream about. It is beautiful to dream, to cast a vision, to stretch our minds into the future and imagine what may be if we were to build a new way of being, not someday, but beginning again today, beginning again every day that we have breath, taking courage with these hands and hearts to make real the dream of a more equitable world, to journey together, seeking to be transformed, even as we transform. I'll invite Mary up to light the chalice. Together we light this chalice. Together we see its light. With kindness and in deep bonds of community, with love for the human family in all of its variety, with reverence before the world and its teeming web of life, may we care for our earthly home and for each other, with courage, with love, and with justice. I'd like to invite all of you who are young in years and young at heart to come and meet Kirsten up on the stage. She has a story for you.
I do have a story. It's called 3 Lines in a Circle. And if you're sitting out there, the pictures will be up on the screen and for you online as well. This is about the exciting life of the peace symbol. Jerry hovered over his drafting table and began to draw his dream. 1 line straight down, 1 line to the right, and 1 line to the left. And these are actually symbols used by flag language. Semaphore, thank you. I knew that word this morning. That was all, just 3 lines in a circle. That's it, Jerry thought, a symbol of my dream, a world without bombs. Energized and excited, Jerry asked people who shared his dream to share his design with others who shared their dream. But one man mocked it, saying, "It doesn't mean a thing. It will never catch on." I think he might have been a little wrong. So it caught on all over London and all over England, standing for Ban the Bomb, nuclear disarmament. March from London to Aldermaston. And this was in 1958, for context. It sailed on to the United States of America after it was published in Life magazine, where it also caught on, standing for Make Peace, Not War. Yes, indeed, it caught on and on and on, standing for peace for all, and especially for Black people and brown people, women and poor people, LGBTQ plus people, and people with disabilities. It sailed on across the globe where it caught on, standing for peace for all, and especially for Black people in South Africa, unity in Germany, Aboriginal people in Australia. Oh my, how it caught on and on and on. standing for peace for all, and especially for earth and animals and fish. It caught on until today, when it stands for peace and end gun violence, peace and Black Lives Matter, peace and believe women, peace and stop climate change. Three lines in a circle, standing for us all. Catching on, fighting on, moving on to you. And the changes that we are working for are ongoing and not impossible. All right. So we're going to take some flame with us. So I invite those children's group is coming over for our Lego values today. We're talking about generosity. And already our OWL class downstairs is already on the go. So, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Sayers, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. Cheryl Amundsen was going to speak today, and I'm reading from her notes, but she couldn't be here. As you know, the board launched a Question of the Month project last month. The question was, what is essential for your experience at Van U? Thank you to all of you who took the time online, in print, and in discussion with board members. We received 56 responses, which, if you know anything about polling, is amazing. So we really appreciate it. Knowing what is important to you will help guide the board's decisions in the months to come. I have time for only a quick and incomplete review now, but here is the flavor of what you said. The most frequent response was the importance of community, and the various aspects of community were mentioned many times. For example, shared values, Van U as a spiritual home, opportunities to do important work together, and also as a source of friendship and sense of belonging. Sunday services, and in particular, Sean's sermons, were highlighted many times as well. The music in general and the choir also received multiple mentions. Thank you. There were many less frequently mentioned responses, including the centrality of different groups that you participate in, like the IPA and the environmental team. We apologize for this brief and incomplete summary, as there was much rich content to share with you. We had planned to host a discussion after services today, but it's such a busy week. The social justice team has scheduled a forum for homelessness, and we didn't want to take attendance away from their event. But we will host a discussion next month when we launch our second Question of the Month. And thank you all for to all of you who participated. Please do attend the forum on homelessness scheduled for 12:30 to 2 after service today. Bring your open ears and open hearts in readiness to discuss ideas and plans for actions. Join Phoenix Winter from the Van U Gym Group and other speakers from the Carnegie Housing Project. Finally, in your order of service, you'll see this flyer that you can take home to remind you. There's going to be a wonderful concert coming up on Sunday, November 9th at 3:30. It's a Remembrance Day collaboration between our Chalice Choir, the group Lady Larks, and the Coast Mountains Men's Chorus. Be sure to bring your friends.
We each have and share gifts which are different. This congregation, which we govern by ourselves, depends on gifts of self, service, and money. We are always grateful for the goodwill behind each gift. A portion of the offering collected each Sunday goes to our Outreach Opportunities Fund, which supports social justice and environmental organizations. This quarter, we are supporting the Alzheimer's Society of BC, about which you can read more in your order of service. You can donate online or text your offering as indicated on the screen. We will now take an offering for the work and vision of our congregation. If the ushers would come forth.
A slight change of plans. With David's help, I will sing some different verses of the song, the Dylan classic, that the choir will do later. This arrangement is by Adam Pod. And when we were rehearsing, David said to me, "I've never seen you sing standing up. Can you do it?" So we'll see if I can do it. Come, writers and critics who prophesy with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will later to win, for the times they are a-changing. Come, senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he who gets hurt will be he who has stalled. Because there's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changing. The old world's gone, the new one is here, Adapt to the change, there is no time for fear. Don't cling to the past, for the future is near, and the present is rapidly waning. Accept what is new and embrace what is dear. Accept what is new and embrace what is dear. Accept what is new and embrace what is dear. For the times they are a-changing. For the times they are a-changing.
Thank you, Elliot and David. This offering is given and received as a sacred trust, dedicated to the work and flourishing of this congregation and the broader community. Let us say together our haiku of gratitude, which is on the screen. We give from our hearts, grateful to share and receive. Hope blooms from kindness.
Good morning. My name is Nancy, and this is Margot Elford. She will be lighting the candle requests today. We take time in every service to share our celebrations, our sorrows, our joys, and our concerns by lighting candles together. Some of you have made requests through the YouTube chat, through our website, or here in our sanctuary in our book of celebrations and concerns. As each candle is lit, please take a moment to hold each request in your heart and join us at the end in saying we light these candles together. We light the first candle for the peace of the world and the well-being of all. As a community of compassion and care, we continue holding in our hearts refugees and immigrants anywhere who are denied justice, people of the world who are rising up to have their voices heard, and people everywhere whose lives are touched by violence and war, poverty or hunger. May they be well. Today, I light a candle for my friend, Elizabeth Murdoch. This week, I have had to take Elizabeth and place her in long-term dementia care. I was assisted by our good friend, Catherine Hembling, in this task. If you are a friend of hers and would like further information, you may contact me. Know that she is safe. She is safe. We light the final candle for ourselves, for our unspoken joys and sorrows. Please join me in saying, we light these candles together.
As we prepare to enter into a brief period of silent meditation, I'm going to read from Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone, their book, Active Hope. We live at a time when the living body of our earth is under attack, and when the attacker is not an alien force, but our own industrial growth society. At the same time, an extraordinary recovery process is underway, a vital creative response we call the Great Turning. What helps us face the mess we're in is the knowledge that each of us has something significant to offer, a contribution to make. In rising to the challenge of playing our best role, we discover something precious that both enriches our lives and adds to the healing of our world. An oyster in response to trauma grows a pearl. We grow and offer our gift of active hope. We can react to world crises in many different ways, with a spectrum of possible responses, from our best to our worst. We can rise to the occasion with wisdom, courage, and care, or we can shrink from the challenge, blot it out, or look away. With active hope, we consciously choose to draw out our best responses so that we might surprise even ourselves by what we bring forth. Can we train ourselves to become more courageous, inspired, and connected?
Imagine this. You're a 35-year-old living in Poland during the Renaissance. All around you, there's an explosion of discovery, of creativity in the arts and of economic growth. You are well educated in many fields: philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, law. And you move in political circles where big ideas are welcomed and talked about. You have privilege, wealth, and status, and you are a white man. If this were you, if your work, your observations and studies of philosophical and mathematical theories had resulted in an elegant proof that would go against common wisdom and upend the world, would you be eager to publish your ideas? Although Copernicus's friends urged him to publish his theory of heliocentrism, the idea that planets revolve around the sun, he didn't want to risk the scorn, this is a quote, to which he would expose himself on account of the novelty and incomprehensibility of his thesis. He circulated a manuscript outlining his ideas among friends, but withheld publication for 36 years. His great work, 6 books concerning the revolutions of the heavenly orbs, was published when he was 70, the year that he died. Copernicus didn't live to experience the consequences of his ideas. Although his theory began to be accepted in the academic world, it was another 70 years before these ideas pitted the Catholic Church against academia. And it was Galileo who was put on trial, convicted of heresy, and sentenced to house arrest for his support of heliocentrism. Of course, today, we take for granted that the planets revolve around the sun. This is just part of our worldview. But the Copernican revolution, as it has come to be called, began the scientific revolution. 400 years later, philosopher Thomas Kuhn coined the term paradigm shift to refer to this kind of significant change in ways of understanding the world. A paradigm shift is not simply a change in actions or behavior that arises from commonly held understandings. It actually requires a whole new way of seeing the world and ourselves. We have to step outside of how we know and see to entertain something radically different. A paradigm shift changes the lens through which we see the world. Einstein said that we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. It may just be that those are the kinds of problems that we are facing now. It may just be that the destabilization that we are experiencing indicates that we are in the midst of a paradigm shift, and we need to find new tools, new ways of thinking to find our way through. Of course, paradigm shifts aren't usually obvious when you're in the midst of them, nor are they planned for. When we're planning for change or coping with change on this scale, it's often referred to as transformative change. In this month, in which we're delving into topics related to change, for our final week, we're exploring transformative change, change that transforms. But let's for a moment go back to the Renaissance. Imagine now that you've devoted your life to the Catholic Church and all that it stands for. Or maybe it's easier to imagine that you're uneducated, going about your daily work to put food on the table. The idea that the Earth is the center of the universe is not just a belief that you can hold at arm's length and examine. It's how you understand yourself in the world. It's the lens through which everything in your world makes sense. God made the Earth, and humans are the apex of his creation. How then could it be possible that the Earth is only one planet of many, and that this tiny planet revolves around the sun? We have to have some empathy for that viewpoint. Just think of the terror and confusion that would result from having that understanding questioned. For people living at that time, there is truth in their assertion that the Earth is at the center of the universe. It may not be factual truth, but that doesn't mean that it is any less real to them. Finding our way through transformative change means taking that truth seriously, understanding it, honoring it, and working with it. Fast forward to the present. My doctoral work focused on worldview change, or what I have come to call culture change, which are both forms of transformative change. I wanted to understand the challenges for people who had stepped inside a new way of seeing, but were still living in a culture that understood the world in an old way. And I wanted to understand the challenges for people who were deeply rooted in an old way of understanding themselves and the world around them, and were confronted with a new way of seeing. The specific shift that I was looking at was the change in worldview that was needed to live in a way that didn't cause environmental harm. But the general principles apply to any transformative change. Because of this work, for many years, I found myself developing and leading initiatives related to indigenization, decolonization, and reconciliation within university courses. And for part of that time, I supported initiatives related to anti-racism and equity, diversity, and inclusion, or EDI. If done well, if done authentically, if designed to create real change, all of this work requires a shift in worldview. It requires a new way of thinking and understanding ourselves. Yet, I found that the work that I was being asked to do went against everything that I learned in my doctorate about how effective culture change happens. It used the tools of the old world to try to create a new world. It caused rupture and fracture rather than conciliation. I witnessed two ways that change leaders took up this work. There were people who knew that a change needed to come, knew, for example, that in the wake of the Truth and Reconciliation Report's calls to action, decolonization needed to find its way into the university where I worked. They took a bureaucratic approach, not recognizing that this change wasn't just about rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, that deep-scale shifts were needed in what university education looked like. On the other hand, there were people who took an activist approach, demanding disruptions to the status quo. But they did so by bullying rather than with empathy. They used colonizing methods to suggest a move towards equity, diversity, and inclusion. Both of these approaches have something in common. They are firmly rooted in old ways of doing things, even as they hope to move to a new way of being. For example, the focus of anti-racism was on shifting who had power, who was at the center, whose voice mattered, rather than trying to dismantle a way of being that allows for power over by anyone. New ways goal, old ways approach. Simple change rather than transformative change. For the past 8 years, I've sat in between this deeply felt and academically researched understanding of how to create transformative change on the one hand, and witnessing the ways that change efforts have been taking place on the other hand. I know that this touches on tender ground in this community. I too was part of a Canadian Unitarian congregation when the 8th principle was adopted. I saw the pain that arose within people and between people across the spectrum of perspectives and beliefs. I saw beloved community members leaving the congregation, and others burying hurt feelings so that they could go on. But I think that there might be a better way forward. If we can find a better way forward through these issues that we've already been grappling with, maybe we can also find a way forward through this haze of uncertainty that we're experiencing in the face of climate change, threats to democracy, the expansion of AI, and economic and social upheaval. So I want to share a bit about what I've learned about transformative change. I offer these ideas as an opening to discussion, to find ways to move forward both through division and through the many murky unknown that is ahead. And that murky unknown is part and parcel of transformative change. We neither know where we are going or how to get there. Remember Einstein? The old tools no longer work. We have to create a new world even while we are walking the path. We have to create a new world through that walking. I found Gandhi's idea of be the change that you want to see in the world to be helpful. As Unitarians, I think that we are uniquely suited to this work. If we envision a world in which everybody embodies our 8 principles, then we need to embody those 8 principles in our approaches to change. We need to use them as a measuring stick for our actions. But we already do that, or we try. The idea of covenant that underlies Unitarianism asks us to live into our 8 principles, not simply recite them on a Sunday. We are a lived faith. Living into a new way of being is difficult. We are all raised in a particular culture, and wherever we fall on the change process, eagerly fighting for it or eagerly pushing back against it, it's hard to see outside of ways of doing that are woven through our way of being, our way of understanding. The people who were using colonizing approaches to decolonize deserve empathy and support. They were simply living what they knew. My doctoral work required me to step into a different way of being a change agent. As part of my research, I interviewed people who saw the world through an ecological lens, what we can call a new way, and people who found that way of being to be alien, strange, perhaps disturbing, people who were rooted in a Western or modern worldview, what we can call an old way. I have to admit, as someone who had spent years in the environmental movement, I had judgment. I viewed the people who were embracing ecological understandings as good, and those who I thought of as resistant to this new, better way as bad. Yet, when I interviewed people who believed that the status quo was the way the world should continue, I didn't find evil. I found despair. Here were people who were disconnected from a sense of belonging in the world. But unlike the environmentalists who were clear that the wounds to heart and soul that they were experiencing was because of our separation from nature, the group of old way people didn't understand why they were feeling adrift and empty. I came out of those interviews feeling compassion. And compassion for each other is perhaps the most important quality that we are going to need as we find our way forward through transformative change. Wendell Berry, whose words many of us cherish, talked about environmentalists riding in on white horses to save the world. The arrogance and holier-than-thou image that statement brought to mind made me cringe. My discomfort was compounded by another quote that rattled around in my head, this one from eco-psychologist Theodore Roszak. He said that many environmentalists don't trust people to behave as if they are the living planet's children. Ouch. Was I really seeing myself as set apart, better than others who didn't share my ecological priorities? Was I really talking about interdependence and the value of all living beings, but excluding humans? I had to make a decision. Do I want to be self-righteous, or do I want to create change? I don't pretend that this is an easy decision. Who doesn't want to be a hero riding in on a white horse? It's exhilarating. Standing in our rightness has moral clarity. It provides comfort. There's pride and strength and purpose and community. But creating transformative change means foregoing those temptations and embracing humility. Can we trust that we are all the living planet's children? The eighth principle equivalent question would be, can we trust that none of us wishes to cause harm to another? Can we believe that we are all in this together? Can we hold each other in community as we move forward? One of the challenges in navigating this old way, new way relationship is that we are quite literally communicating across cultures. When we travel to another country, we expect to not understand some practices or perspectives. And we approach these differences with awkwardness, maybe, but also with respect, care, curiosity. We don't, however, expect that we have different cultural lenses when we are in a familiar environment. I was constantly confounded in an academic setting that kindness and gentleness were seen as weakness. Within the framework of academic life, kind equals weak has cultural relevance. But when you step into that world with a belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, where kindness is seen as a virtue, not a deficit, you step into a culture clash. We are looking at the same quality or same situation, but seeing it totally differently. In order to maintain community during times of transformational change, it's helpful to remember that we are taking different lenses to a situation. The task is not just to understand a different perspective as we hear it, or we would think about it, but to see the situation through someone else's beliefs and assumptions. Today, we're facing massive destabilization in society, the kind of changes that may require rethinking how we understand our place in the world. Nobody has a roadmap to find a way through this. But I believe that Unitarians are uniquely situated to step into a new way of being and chart a new path forward. We have a history of stepping outside of the norms that we see all around us, of exhibiting deep courage and soaring creativity. We are called to offer a prophetic voice and have a reputation of being a people so bold. This congregation has a long history of leadership across Canada. In the short time that I've been here, I've seen your passion and commitment. Could Vancouver Unitarians be trailblazers in finding a way forward? Could we model a different way, rooting ourselves in change that transforms? I look forward to hearing your thoughts. And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our closing song.
And
We end with a prayer by a previous intern minister of this congregation, Joe Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. I extinguish our flame. May it light our way in the week ahead. And so we are already standing and sing together, Carry the Flame.